Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Earwax. It's Colin, and today we're going to be doing a review of the brand new Brigitte Calls Me Baby album, Irreversible. So, this is the sophomore record from Chicago based indie rock band Brigitte Calls Me Baby, and I am a big fan of these guys. I was super hyped off their debut album, The Future Is Our Way Out, and yeah, I honestly think that, that album was some of the best dance rock, 80s inspired indie rock that we have gotten in a very long time from anyone. And I was very curious to see what they were going to follow it up with. And, on this sophomore record, I think that they're definitely sticking to their sound. But before we get into my thoughts on the music, let's talk about the vinyl. So this album came out last Friday. I actually got this the day after on Saturday. I just haven't had time to record or put this out until today. But they definitely get bonus points for getting the vinyl right like the day after the album is released digitally. As far as the pre-order goes, this is the ATO Records white vinyl, which I think is just their record label. So again, one of the first pressings pre-order. It is pretty straightforward. It's not a gatefold, so it's just the exterior sleeve here, and then you've got the white record itself, with the dark blue label for the actual vinyl. There wasn't an insert with this, I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check real quick. Oh no, there was an insert. Okay, so there was an insert. So here's the front and then the back right there. No, there was not an insert. Just the sleeve that it came printed on with the lyrics. I have obviously already moved it to a better exterior sleeve as well as or better interior sleeve as well as an exterior sleeve. So overall, it's a pretty standard basic record. For a pre-order first release, I do want a little bit more. I was hoping to get at least an insert or have it be a gatefold, but I guess the give and take of that is I did get it very quickly. So maybe some of the delays on these other records, pre-orders that I've been seeing, have to do with some of the stuff that's actually in the packaging. But regardless, still a fun record, and I'm not going to be mad about it getting here the day after release. So with the physical release out of the way, let's talk about the music itself. So I'm not going to be doing a full track-by-track breakdown of this one. To be perfectly honest, I just haven't had time to write notes on every single song. But my overall thoughts of this are going to be pretty consistent with the first album, minus a little bit of the quality and originality that I found on that one. I think they do such a good job of taking the sound that is very clearly influenced by some of the biggest indie rock bands of the 80s and 90s, especially the Smiths. I mean, you get so much of the Smiths on just the vocals and a lot of the guitar tones and sort of how they approach their songwriting. But they do it in a way that does make them sound a little bit fresh, a little bit original. On that first album, I think that they still very much stuck to this sound, but they had a lot of creativity. The songs were catchy as hell, and I just kept playing it over and over and over again. They had some moments of leaning a little bit almost alt country, sort of ballady. They had some moments of great sort of danciness on some of their tracks, and yeah, I was really, really hyped on that one. On this album, I do feel like they kept a lot of the same formula as far as the sounds that they're using. So the guitar tones, the drum patterns that they're using, his vocal tendencies. But I just think that it lacks a little bit of the fun and originality of that first album. There's a few songs on here that just fall a little flat for me. They're not quite as engaging as some of their similar counterparts on the first, which is fine. Obviously you don't need to follow up an incredible album with another incredible album. In fact, most bands don't. The sophomore slump is very real. But That being said, there are some absolute bangers on this album, notably the first single that they released in Slumber Party. I absolutely love that song. It's high energy, it's catchy as hell. The beat, it's got this amazing, like, four on the floor danceable beat, and it's just really, really, really fun. The guitar tones on that are like happy and in your face, and it's just, it's an incredible song. There's a handful of other ones that do sort of get me on the same level, but like maybe don't have quite the same amount of energy as that song. Notably, like the second single of I Can Pull the Sun Right Out of the Sky and the song Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, both of which have a bit more of a mellow sort of tone to them, at least compared to Slumber Party, but still higher energy, very danceable, very fun, very catchy, easy to just bob your head along to, has that sort of like 80s nostalgic indie rock feel. Then you have songs like These Acts of Which We're Designed, which is very synth heavy, and it's got sort of like an almost synth wave feel, definitely still bringing the 80s vibe with it. Which again, I'm not mad about. I like that they're kind of staying consistent with this nostalgia sound. But then you have some other songs that are just really slow, and like, not that I mind an 80s like power ballad, like indie rock power ballad, but like they just don't really bring anything new to that genre. And not that like the majority of their sound is anything incredibly new. Like, again, it's very easy to hear their influences, but if you're going to do something that's so heavily influenced by an entire like decades of a genre, at least like make it fun. And a few of these songs, they're just, I don't know, they're very slow. The lyrical content is pretty like, one way linear, and it's just not the most thrilling, especially like the closing song and Send These Memories. It just feels like a really weak way to end the album. Again, not that it's like a bad song, but it's just, there's nothing about it that is super engaging and exciting, and it's just kind of a whimper to end the album on. Same with like I Can't Have You All to Myself. Again, it's just a very slow, feels like it would be used at like any generic 80s prom scene. Like, it's just, there's nothing about it that's super interesting. But the rest of the album, outside of like those highs and those lows, it falls pretty middle of the road for me, where like there's some fun moments. I enjoy some of these songs, pretty decently, and it's a very fun album to listen to, minus the couple lows for me, with songs like There Always and I Dance with Another Love in My Dream. Where again, yeah, they're fun, they're catchy. I'm sure they're gonna be great to see live, which I am seeing them in a few weeks, so I'm very excited for that. Actually, probably about a month from now. But yeah, overall, like I'm a little disappointed by this follow-up. I wish they went a little bit more experimental with some of their sounds. I wish they took a bit more risks. It feels like they very much sort of like settled into their sound and yet didn't deliver a strong of an output as they did on their first album. So with all that being said, despite these highs being pretty high for me, I'm going to give this a B minus. Again, there are moments that I absolutely love on this album, and there's some moments that I didn't really, and the rest of it is sort of just middle of the ground. But if you like them, if you like their sound, I love their sound, you're still going to enjoy listening to this album, and that's what, keeps it still in the B category for me. So that's going to do it for this review. Thanks so much for watching. I've got some more stuff coming out soon, including, again, that Gorillaz ranking, as well as another top 5 video. I'm going to be doing a survey for that later today. But as always, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, like, comment. All that helps out my channel a ton. And I will talk to y'all later. Peace.